weekly plan with me's look different now that I'm using the card deck. So instead of using my planner, I have incorporated everything that was in the planner into the card deck by using the 12-week year method. And so Sidetracked Home Executives, I was already not having to sit down and figure out what I needed to do for the home management. It just gets shuffled. So each card has an action. You know the drill. And if you don't, I have lots of videos that talk about it. And they wrote an entire book about how to set up the system for yourself. So I have 2 planning days. I have Wednesdays that focus more on communication. So I'm making sure that I have a meal plan for the next week, like started at least. Some days I don't have anything. If we're cruising, I have to have a meal plan. Otherwise, things fall apart really quickly. So setting up a meal plan for the week ahead, and then also creating a budget or going over your budget, reviewing your budget on Wednesdays is something that I do. I try and create a little summary that I can share with my husband, and that's something that I do on Wednesdays. Some weeks I skip it to the next week, but I always try and at least touch it so that I can, if I'm sitting down at dinner with my husband, I can say, hey, these are the events that we have coming up, or hey, it's going to be really windy over the weekend. Will you take a look at it? On Saturdays, that's a day to organize and to plan, and it's like the cap off of the work week so that on Sunday you can just rest and relax. This is for me at least. So Saturdays I am going over our schedule, and it's more about communicating the schedule that I've set up with the family. So placing it on the calendar that you can see back there. That way my kids can see what dinners are coming up, what activities they have, that type of thing. Saturdays were also for my weekly accountability meetings. So part of the 12-week year was doing a weekly accountability meeting. You're setting up a scorecard, so you can see my week 12 scorecard here. So this was when I would tally up all the cards, the action cards that I had in front of this. See, like, this was one of the action cards that was in front. You just go through and see what action cards that you have set up that are helping you reach that goal. Then you tally them and create a score for yourself and kind of review how you did. For my next 12-week year, I'm going to actually do my weekly accountability meetings written out on the back of the card so I can go back and know exactly what I was thinking at that time, because right now it's kind of like all over the place because I did keep track of it on YouTube, but not really in a place that's more efficient and effective, I guess, for myself. Saturdays, I would do any tallying up for my WAM, or weekly accountability meeting, and that's part of the 12-week year. So let's talk about Wednesdays. And this is just my weekly flow. It's the rhythm that I keep for our family based off of just a lot of different things. Sorry. So going through the meals, I have a meal plan card that I just like to jot down all the things that we're going to be eating over the next week. Now, if I don't have ingredients for something, I write those on the back of that card and take that card with me to the grocery store. I like having that card because it shows me the meals that correspond with the ingredients. So for example, this morning, one of the recipe cards that I created that was new, I pulled from a blog for gingerbread cookies. I'm trying to just make sure that I pay close attention to our nutrition and our diets, because next January I'm going into a fitness goal and I just want my mind right and I want my body to cooperate and I want good sleep. So I'm trying to pay close attention to that. So anyway, I'm making these keto gingerbread cookies, and I was at the grocery store and it said nutmeg. I'm not a baker, so I don't know exactly if I needed nutmeg for the gingerbread cookies, but it was like $6. And I thought, this is something that I'm only using 1/8 of a teaspoon of. I'm just going to put off. So I like having the meals along with my list so I can remind myself of, oh, do I really need this ingredient? For example, like green onions were something I needed, and they just didn't look very fresh at the grocery store, and I thought, green onions are great for flavor. I'm sure they add some type of minerals or vitamins that would be great, but I'll just forgo them this week. Little things like that. I am going to be doing an overhaul of my recipes, my recipe cards. That's something that I added in, I think, last year, and it was out of necessity because I was using, I had a Trello board that was organizing my recipes, and then I just pull up blogs to try and find the recipe, and we never had the best internet to do that, and I was trying to conserve power on the phone, but it's just overall just a better system. I can put my recipes in front of the days that I actually need them, and then they're just quick access there on the card deck, and I just love that. When you create your meal plan, then you shuffle the recipe card over to the date that you need it. And it's also nice because then, like, if I'm not available to make dinner, my husband just has the recipe card there and he doesn't have to go through a million different things to try and find it. So on Wednesdays, I also do the budgeting. I make sure I have a spreadsheet that I've used for years. Ooh, I'm getting kind of sweaty because I'm right next to the oven. So I like to touch the spreadsheet on Wednesdays, and usually when I create a weekly report or I do something to communicate things with my husband, I'll just take a screenshot of the spreadsheet and send it over to him via text. For our schedule, I have everything on Google Calendar still, so my card deck is more for like to-do list items and projects and things like that. My appointments, I still want to make sure I have on Google Calendar just so that everything syncs and blah, 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 you know. So I like to make a list of big things that my husband needs to know about and communicate it that way. But sometimes, like I said, it's just a conversation over dinner. So reviewing the schedule for the week ahead and noting things that are important to communicate with the family in general. That's also a good time to make time blocks. So I do this especially if I'm having a busier day or a busier week. I like to block out time for things. So you're creating buckets that you can put the cards into essentially. You're creating like from 9 to 10, you'd say cleaning. And so any card that has to do with the home management side, you would then put within that bucket of time. Then if I have like YouTube cards, things that I need to do with the card decks, I have like work buckets, and then I put those cards into those. So taking some time if you feel overwhelmed to adjust your buckets. We live on a boat, so I also go over the weather. And like I said, I like to communicate it with my husband. He's always, of course, very much aware of what's going on with the wind, but I myself like to know it, and then we just kind of like share what we've seen. This is super helpful during the summer, especially when we're cruising and we're moving from Anchorage to Anchorage. It's just good to know how, like, making a plan during cruising time, it's an adventure. Saturdays, I do weekly accountability meetings, and it would be great if, you know, in the future when I do weekly plan with me's, I should do them on Saturdays for weekly accountability meetings. I did a couple of them, and I just felt weird doing weekly accountability meetings because it was all in regards to YouTube, and it was very YouTube centered and not necessarily planning. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe you guys want to start a YouTube channel and you're interested. I recommend it. It's awesome. So I don't know. I have to figure out how I can do weekly plan with me meetings in the future and make them relevant and fun to listen to. On Saturdays, I did weekly accountability meetings. I'm a Sunday starter, so my week starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. So at the end of the week for my 12-week year, I would then review the cards that I had done versus the ones I didn't get to, make a scorecard, fill out the scorecard, and then go over some of the questions that I created for myself based off of the actions and my goal I wanted to do. So it was like, did I learn? I would review what it is that I learned. And I did all of that in my mind next time I want to do it, like I said, on the back of my divider, so that I'll have that to reference at the end of the 12-week, especially with this type of goal. And actually, most of my goals for next year are like continuing things. Once it's done, it's not done. So to wrap this up, just to kind of give you a preview of the week that I'm working right now. So last Wednesday, I did stuff. Saturday, I did stuff. I don't have a weekly accountability meeting. I still have my 12-week year in the back of my planner because I want to make a video about a recap and like share what I learned from it and the results. I did make a video about how I set up my 12-week year that maybe will give you some ideas of how to set up yours. The 12-week year dividers are free, and then the date dividers, I have them in both 3x5s and 4x6s now. So and they're on sale 45% off right now until like the first of the year. Check them out if you're interested in this, because I feel like it's a pretty effective and quick way to get a planner for 2024 started. If you didn't need help with home management and you just wanted to focus on your goals or projects, then it'll be quick and easy. You print it out, cut it, and then write down the actions. I mean, creating the goals and the strategy takes a little bit more effort. So here I am on, what's today? Tuesday. I have the cards that I already did here. Can you see? Some monthly affirmations. Don't skip doing affirmations and vision. I know it's total woo and nerdy stuff, but it really is helpful to have a good mindset going into your 12-week year. This is one thing I do. Fun Ahead card. Fun Ahead review is usually filled with fun stuff if I fill this out, and I don't want to say it's not fun, but there are some like more do type items or things that have an opportunity to get done. Like baked cookies. I've learned I really don't care for baking. I try to make it fun. So tomorrow is that day that I planned, so that's on a Wednesday. The videos that I'm showing as the B-roll is from last Wednesday. Here's another one. Each week, plan for your artist date. What did I do? Last week I went shopping by myself at an event. It was really cute. Putting yourself in different situations where you're interested in, you make so many different observations, and I really enjoy artist dates. It's just a matter of of keeping the commitment to yourself to do them. See, I have some recipe cards in here. Can you see that? I'm going to set up my pizza crusts on a Thursday beforehand because I get Friday and I'm tired and I don't want to make the pizza crust. So I'm going to try and do it the day before this week. Friday is dusting. So again, I didn't sit down and set any of these cards up. They were just shuffled from the previous Friday over to this Friday. Here's a blank Fun review card on Saturday so I can fill that out. I set up my movie wall. You can kind of see it behind me, and that's going to be really fun. So we can do fun things inside and be cozy and watch cute Christmas movies. Then another thing that's interesting to point out, at least I think it's interesting. So I have these holiday cards. I used to plan out the holidays using Trello. I've talked about this in another video that you can watch about planning out your holidays. And the problem was I never got anything done. It would just sit on the Trello board, and I'd feel so good at the beginning of the season and be like, I have Christmas planned out. Everything's going to be good. And then it just wouldn't get done, and it was kind of a bummer. But now, so far, since incorporating the holiday into the card deck, I feel pretty good. I got some stuff done that I haven't really just made a priority before. And I also got them done earlier than I normally would, because I can see them, and if I run out of time to do something one day, I can skip it to the next day, I can skip it to the next week. There's a system set in place for managing that. Please subscribe and hang out with me until January when I have another 12-week happen, or 12-week year, and then my weekly plan with me will get more exciting. That's a good thing though, right? The good thing is that you don't have to think too hard about what to do. You've already done all the work. Have a good week, everybody. So the next video that's going to come out is on questions